Welcome to Fantasy Alarm. I'm your host for Necessary Roughness, Ray Flowers. It's Week 17. Most of the regular seasons are done at Week 16. So we're going to talk DFS in Week 17. Let's look at the running back and wide receiver position. These are bargains, if you will. These are players whose cost in the DFS game is likely lower than their production is going to be. First number today is 30. That's the number of carries the last two games for Jeremy Langford of the Bears. That's 11 more carries than Matt Forte. Yeah, it's quite a bit of difference. Forte's also got a bad back, so it's really uncertain how much work he's going to have in potentially his last game with the Bears. Jeremy Langford is the back to own right now in this backfield. He scored 6 touchdowns in his last 10 games, including one in the last game against the Lions. Jeremy Langford, he should be on your radar this week. The next number is 4.5. That's the yards per carry mark of Kamar Aiken of the Panthers. Now, a lot of people played Payne last week, and it didn't happen. He only had 5 carries, but he was extremely effective with those 5 carries. And in fact, over the last 2 games, 19 carries, 108 yards for him, really starting to surge, performing very well, facing a Buccaneers team that has allowed 4 touchdowns on the ground in the last 3 games. Fozzie Whitaker, Jonathan Stewart, their health is really up in the air. Kamar Aiken, bust last week. This week, he's going to come through for people to take the chance. The next number is the number 3. That's the number of touchdowns that Jerick McKinnon has the last 2 games. He scored both as a runner and as a receiver. Now, Adrian Peterson is going to play, but he does have an ankle issue that's a concern. We don't know how much he's going to play. We don't know if he'll be rested. The Vikings are in the playoffs, so they are playing for the NFC North title, so it's really up in the air how much work he can get. But even as support role the last couple of weeks, McKinnon, 14 carries, 99 yards. He's got 6 passes for 84 yards. A dynamic talent, a guy can really do some things with the ball in his hands. Workload will determine whether he's a decent play or a good play in Week 17. The next number is 14, as in the number of catches the last 2 games for Jordan Matthews of the Eagles. Now, Matthews and Bradford have really started to establish a nice rapport, and it's gone somewhat underreported because there was such a bad start to the season for Jordan Matthews, all those weeks with no production. But the last 2 games, 14 catches, 236 yards, 2 touchdowns for Matthews. Really, really good stuff. And he's facing a Giants team this week that allows the 4th most points in a PPR set to wide receivers. An excellent matchup. Don't sleep on Jordan Matthews in Week 17. And then the final number today is 8. That's the number of receptions each of the last 2 games for Kamar Aiken of the Ravens. Hasn't mattered who's thrown the football. Aiken has been successful. He's caught 5 passes in 8 straight games. He's really stepped forward with all the injuries that team has suffered on the offense, and he has come through. Not only does he have 8 catches each of the last 2 games, over the last 3 weeks, he's averaging 7 catches, 94.6 yards, and he scored a touchdown. His floor is really high. His ceiling's not as high as some of the others, but stability and solid work, that's what you get when you play Kamar Aiken. I'm Ray Flowers, FantasyAlarm.com. Don't forget to visit us at FantasyAlarm.com for your Week 17 rankings. They're up there. Quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, kickers, defense, all of it. It's free. FantasyAlarm.com.